Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube video. You're here with your host GBHL Damian, and this is a unboxing video. And today, as you can probably see, we're going to be unboxing the rather spangly new Alfrid Lickspittle model, exclusive to Warhammer World and GW events. I'm going to get onto that later. Before I kind of plunge into this, I decided that I'm going to try at least to do something a bit different with this this hobby vlog. It's the first of the new year, so happy new year. Hobby vlog? It's not a hobby vlog, it's an unboxing. So happy new year to you all. Hope you've had some good hobbying time over Christmas. As you can see, this is my first video back, hence why I'm out of practice with all the words and such. But what I decided to do is, because he's only a single model, I'm actually going to try and paint him up as part of this video. So my hope is that we'll have the usual stuff about an unboxing, where we'll have a good close-up look at the model. We'll also chat about his profile maybe a bit later, but I'm also hoping to paint him up over the next few days, so that by the end of the video he'll actually be done. You won't watch me painting, this isn't going to be some tedious time-lapse thing, but I'm hoping that I've got a bit of hobby time over the next few days, and hopefully I'll be able to actually get him done. So that's the plan for this video. As ever, we'll see whether or not that comes to pass. But let's plunge on. So here he is. This is the brand new Alfrid Lickspittle model. It is Alfrid in a dress, and it's the model that it was released at the Forge World Open Day. The whole Games Workshop Open Day, I think, not a Forge World one. And I didn't go to it, but I'm very, very grateful to Mr. J Finnegan, he of Guild Ball Informer fame, who hooked me up with this and sent it down to me. So that's awesome. So here it is. It's following the trend of the new kind of Forge World packaging. We've got the white background. It's still the Hobbit motion picture trilogy strategy battle game, which is nice. And you've also got this lovely exclusive tab because it is an exclusive model. So this is at the moment only available at Games Workshop events and Warhammer World, but obviously that means that as they go to I believe, as far as I'm aware, when Games Workshop go to different events abroad, like they had the European Open Day, I think there's talk of them going to Adepticon this year, possibly, don't quote me on that obviously, but it means you'll be able to pick it up there. And also the other thing is, lots of our community members have already offered to kind of post copies out to people. So I know that already some of these are winging their way to Europe. It is, however, a 15+ model. You've got to be 15 stone to open this. I don't know, but I presume it's a 15+. I'm kind of surprised by that. But who knows? Maybe there's normally ages on them. I don't really recall seeing anything like that. And there is Alfrid. So yeah, it's an event-only model. It's the first. I'm guessing there's going to be more. I think this is cool that they suddenly brought out a brand new Alfrid. What I love about this is the fact that you don't need him. It's an alternate pose. It's not like they've released, I don't know, Dane or Bane or someone like that who everyone kind of needs in their army if they want to use them. Everyone could buy Alfrid, but by providing a kind of different pose for the model, it just gives a kind of different little collector's item to it, which is quite nice, and perhaps a reason to visit Warhammer World. So I know that people are kind of some people are up in arms about this sort of thing, but I think it's nice, to be honest. I'm quite old-fashioned. I believe that you shouldn't be able to get everything wherever you are in the world. I think you should be able to go to different places and pick up things that are only available in those places. So this gets a big tick in my book, personally. So here he is, round the back. I was pleasantly surprised, to find out that he was only £12, which is cool because it's the same price as the current Alfrid, I believe. I suppose Alfrid might be 10, but certainly named Finecast heroes were £12. So that's what we got used to. So that's a really nice bonus, as we're seeing a Forge World release in the Forge World resin that is not more expensive than Finecast. That's really cool. I know the Iron Hills Dwarves Warriors work out cheaper than their kind of Finecast equivalents, but it's nice to see a single hero getting the same treatment as well. And as you can see, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that you actually get a Scenic Base in with this. I didn't realise that from the pictures. So, yeah, that's cool. So, I'm going to jump into this now. Not jump into it literally because I am far too large for that. I'm using a knife to just cut this open, so remember, if you are under knife-wielding age, to always make sure there's an adult present to help you out with that sort of thing. Cut around the blister, and to see what we've got inside this package of joy. We have a standard base, probably seen those before, Alfrid himself, and the base. So let's have a look. Have you seen these before? 25mm base. Ooh, lovely. Matt Davis probably hates these things, awful sort of thing, boring. We also have this. So this is his Scenic Base. Let's have a look at that. And what's nice about it, you can see you've got some stones. It's obviously meant to be a very specific scene. You got these kind of stones and a few broken planks, and I think also there are coins. Just see on the camera where they are. Is that one of them? It looks too big there. Yeah, I think so. I think these little circles here are gold coins that are meant to have dropped out of his blouse from the troll, which is kind of cool. So that's lovely little base. You can see the kind of 2 footprints there where he's meant to stand. Or you could put that on a base and claim that you've got the invisible Frodo base. So cheap way of doing that for you as well. There we go. And here is the lady herself, Alfrid Lickspittle in dress. Getting massive shadows for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Not working. A cheeky focus for me. Not too much to hope for. There we go. So there is Alfrid. It is a stunning model. You can see down the cleavage there, he's got all the coins, which is very cool. It's a really, really nice touch. Lovely kind of sculpt to the face. I think it's a much better likeness than the old one. I'm not sure if the old Alfrid was perhaps done before Ryan Gage was cast, but I'm very much of the opinion that it doesn't, whilst it's a lovely model, it doesn't particularly look like Ryan Gage, the old one. He's kind of got a weird little tash thing kind of built into the model, and might have come from an earlier design. Lovely full bosom, full of gold, which is great. And yeah, there's the back of it with this lovely little cloak. Absolutely gorgeous model. I think done by Keith. Not sure actually, but I think this one was Keith. Who knows? And great detail on the face. Looking really good in there. Sorry about this lighting thing. Not quite sure what's going on with that. There we go. So yeah, so it's a fairly simple model in terms of, you know, the bits on it. It's obviously one piece, which is nice. Lots of cloth. And one thing I have noticed about the Forge World models, I haven't quite seen on this, just bear with me while I have a close-up look. Certainly there's a little bit of cleaning up to do. You can sort of see a mould line here, but I've now assembled Danes, some Iron Hills Dwarves and the Berserkers, and I'm really pleasantly surprised by how the mould lines aren't much of an issue. There's very few mould lines on these new models, it seems. So this should be really easy to clean up and assemble with it only being one piece. So that's nice, because as anyone who follows these vlogs will know, I absolutely despise cleaning models up. So there we go. There is the brand new Alfrid Lickspittle model. It's a Forge World model, so what they always recommend you do is give them a wash in soapy water before you paint them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my 2 pieces now. I'm going to get a bit of warm water with some fairy liquid in, give them a bit of a scrub with a toothbrush, and then I'm going to clean them up and assemble them, and I'll be back after I've done that. And so here he is. Here is the completely assembled Alfrid Lickspittle on his base. As expected, it was a really simple cleanup. Just had to clip off the tab from the base and the tab from the both of Alfred's feet, and then there was just the faintest bit of a mould line down the robes here and across the shoulders, but nothing troublesome whatsoever. It took about 5 minutes to clean the whole model up, which is wonderful. Very happy with that. So it's actually been quite a fun, simple little project to get going. I've decided to keep him on his base. You won't have seen anything yet because I haven't really started my hobby vlogs up again, but my lake town that I'm going to be doing throughout kind of January and February, I'm actually putting on some of Matt Davis's bases to look like Dale. And I haven't quite figured out that colour scheme yet. So this is actually quite a nice way for me to delay that decision, because he won't be on one of those Broken White City bases from Matt Davis. He's actually going to be on this custom made one. So that's cool. So yeah, there he is. Hopefully you can kind of see that he's a really nice model. Very happy with this. I've just been googling a few pictures of Alfrid in a dress. Picked up 4 different ones, which hopefully show off the colours fairly well. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how he's not in a bunch of brown cloaks. He's actually in a kind of red undercoat with quite a bright, I think it's this layer here, quite a bright kind of orangey browny coat. So he's actually going to be, I think, as much as he's going to look dirty, he's actually going to be quite a colourful model. And I'll be trying out a few different colours, which will be quite cool. So I'm really excited to get him done. I'm going to go off and kind of undercoat him now, and then hopefully you'll see him again when he is probably base coated and shaded. Okay, and I am back, and I've kind of jumped ahead, to be honest. I think last time I saw you, I just assembled him and I said I'd come back when I'd base coated him, but I kind of got ahead of myself and I have now finished him. Huzzah! It is now, was it, where are we, Monday morning? Monday evening it is now. Monday morning. It's Monday evening now, and he is now finished and completed. It's pretty late, which is probably why I'm all over the place on that. But yes, and here is the finished model himself. Zana. There we go. I'm really quite pleased with him. Some of you, by the time this video goes up, probably would have seen the picture I put up on the Great British Hobbit League. But I think he came out rather well. See that? So you got the gold in there. Various different colours of his cloaks. Come around the back here. I use some, I'll just show you now, I use some reference material for figuring out exactly which colour to go for his various cloaks actually. I'll show you that now. So here is the reference material I was working with. So this is obviously the shot that the pose is taken from, where he's chatting to Bard. You can sort of see his ample bosom there with the kind of orangey dress, whichever one that is. So I had that one. I also found, you can also see this is quite, it's been colour graded as how it appears in the final move, so it's quite stylised, whereas this one I found is a little more natural. So I thought this was quite good for getting the bonnet colour and then that kind of reddy colour, and this is where I found that he had this kind of really dirty front of the bib. That's where I tried to get that kind of grey feeling coming from there. And again, you can see that quite bright orange kind of dress underneath. We also had this one, which again was good for the colours. So you can see the kind of bright orange down here, then the red, and then the brown cloak. And finally I had this one, which is just a close-up of his face essentially. Again for the bonnet and for the hood. So those were the colours I was using those were the colours I was trying to replicate, and essentially I'll show you how I did it. You've got these kind of three basic layers on him, which you can hopefully see. Here you've got this lower cloak, then this one, then this one. We've got this kind of beige one, a yellow one, and a red one. And for the beige, I went for Baneblade Brown. For the yellow one, I went for Deathclaw Brown. And for the pinky one, I went for Tuskor Fur. Then the shawl around his shoulders there was Mornfang Brown. And the entire model pretty much was kind of shaded Nagaric Surf Shade. Everything else you can see is probably some variation on that. So you see the bonnet and the little ties were Baneblade Brown as well. And you can also see that shirt inside there by the gold just underneath his hair. That's obviously the top of that lower fabric. It's quite fun trying to work out which bit was which coat. So you see just over his boobs there, you've got the bit of yellow coming through, which is from this layer here. So it's quite fun. And as you can see, that kind of front, as I showed you in that kind of image just a minute ago, you can see how stained that kind of red tunic is. And so I kind of tried to darken it up a bit. So there we go. So basically I did those four colours there as the base coat, shaded it, and then basically used a combination of Eshin Grey, Gorthor Brown, Pallid Witchflesh, Doomball Brown, Rhinox Hide, and Rakarth Flesh to highlight and shade it. I couldn't tell you particularly how I did any of the colours specifically, because I just basically worked those colours into them. So I was kind of working the darker browns in and then highlighting back up with the base colour mixed with something like Rakarth Flesh to kind of achieve this. Really pleased with I'm really pleased with the whole model, but I'm very pleased with how the bonnet and the bonnet came out. Essentially quite fiddly, but I think it looks quite nice. The gold I did in exactly the same way as I did my Mirkwood Elf gold. So that was a base coat of, what is it? It's a base coat of Balthazar gold, then a wash of Agrax Earthshade, then a highlight of Gahana's gold, a highlight of Origama gold, and a little shade of Seraphim Sepia. Same as my Mirkwood. So there we go. The apron on the front that's now dirty was kind of done with Eshin Grey, like washes of Eshin Grey and a few the kind of Agrax Earthshade wash. But it was an absolutely gorgeous model. The face I'm very happy with. You're not really seeing the eyes in there, but I was quite pleased with how the eyes came out. But I must admit it drove me mad because I had it looking, I thought, great in the hand, and then when I took a photo of it, it just looked horrible. And so basically I then kept like kind of touching it up by eye to then go back and take a photo of it, and the photo would always really disappoint me, so it took me absolutely ages. I spent a very, very long time working on the face, probably a couple of hours on the face alone, I think, which is far more than I should have done. But I think it's worth it in the end. I'm really happy with how he came out. The base was done in my old-fashioned way of doing the bases, because it's a Scenic Base. I was trying to experiment a bit and then realised that would work nicely. So it's kind of basically scorched brown, dry brush with bestial brown, Mornfang brown, sorry, and Shabty bone. And there we go. So there he is. There is Alfrid, an absolutely beautiful sculpt, lovely addition to the range, very affordable, the same price as the old Alfrid, same price as a fine cast name hero, and a really, really cool and characterful model. So there we go. So as is traditional in these unboxings, I'm now going to have a brief chat about the profile. So here we are with the lovely There and Back Again book, just to have a brief chat about Alfrid's profile. I think Alfred's one of those people who, the vast majority of people out there are certainly going to know his profile from the last iteration. He was incredibly popular, he was considered very, very overpowered, and he saw him dropped into an awful lot of good army lists because he was so cheap. So what's changed about this edition? Well, he's the same points, so he's still very, very cheap. He's still got exactly the same stat line. He's basically a warrior of Minas Tirith, I guess. Fight 3, strength 3, defense 3. Oh, apart from the defense, obviously. 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage 3. So he's basically just a man, just a basic man with 3 will and 1 fate. He's got no might, and he's unarmed as well. So that's a bit of a downside. So as a profile, he's a bit rubbish just based on that. He's quite easy to take out, defense 3 and 1 fate. But his dubious council rule is, of course, where he got his legendary status, and thankfully his dubious council rule has now changed. So if you recall, in the old version, he used to roll a dice. On a 1, he'd pick any hero within 6 inches and he'd roll a dice. On a 1, they would lose D3 might, he would gain 1. On a 2 to 5, they would gain 1 might, and on a 6, they would gain D3 might. So people hated Alfrid because it was possible to give an opposing hero 9 might from your from Alfrid. Now that was unlikely, but you know, we've all been on the receiving end over the years of some pretty grim Alfridings, and we did see it happen. So thankfully it has changed a lot. So the first thing, it's exactly the same wording. Alfrid can choose to expend any number of will points at the start of the priority phase before any dice are rolled, which to me, I know different people think different things, but I've always played that as if you want, you can use all 3 in one turn. I know there's some debate on this. I don't know what the current intent is. I might have to ask Jay, but as far as I read that, if you wanted to, before 1 turn, he could blow all 3 of them, because he can expend any number of will points at the start of the priority phase. And for each point of will he expends, nominate a single friendly hero from the army of Lake Town or survivors of a Lake Town army list. So that's the huge and key change. He can only affect Lake Town heroes, which is fantastic, and I think is basically what a lot of people were asking for. So no more giving might to wizards for challenge spells, no more giving might to Legolas for killing off ring wraiths and all those sorts of things. He has to be giving it to Lake Town heroes, which is great. Also, for every dice you rolls, for every will point you use is roll a dice. On a 2+, the nominated hero gains 1 point of might, and on a 1, the nominated hero loses a point of might, and Alfrid gains a point of might. Okay, so you are you now can't gain D3 at all. So the most Alfrid can ever give your army is 3, which is good. But similarly, you can't lose D3. So the reward has gone down, but also the risk has gone down, which is great. And so it's certainly a far, far, far better rule. It's still a very good rule. I still think for a Lake Town list, he's a bit of a no-brainer. I still think you put him in and give and stick him in there. He will be great for Bard, Bard of his archery, topping Bard up to allow him to hit and kill important targets. He'd be good if you've got an army of Lake Town for the Master of Lake Town to bump his might up, which I think was always the intention of the rule, so that he can use his money bags rule. He might even be good for giving might to someone like Hilda. Hilda, I think, is going to be very, very popular. I think because she's cheap, she's got a great special rule. She's only got 1 might, so he might be good to, if you spread your heroes out, give a point of might over there, so you've got some might on the other side of the board. So very, very, very useful. And worst case scenario, you move might. You can never lose more as the Alfrid player in this case, which I think is alright now, because I think people, the idea that, you know, Legolas could lose all 3 might was the reward of playing against Alfrid against it. It made you feel good when that happened to him. Whereas now I think they're not, you know, the worst that's going to happen is they're going to get 3 might, which is still very, very useful, of course, but I don't think I'm glad the added risk has gone, as it were. So there he goes. And of course the fact that he's quite easy to price now, like the basic profile is probably about 5 points or so, and then generally speaking he'll be giving your army 3 might, which if you go by Ringwraith stats is 15 points, and then he's got a fate point, so he's around about he should be around about the 25 point by that metric. But of course he might not give you 3 might, he might only give you 2 might. So I think he's fairly costed at what he is. I think you'll still see a lot of him, but I think he's not going to be as hated in this version of the game, which I think is really important. And what's really, really cool now, I think, is that we've not only got a lovely new profile that fixed the issues with him, we've got this great new model for him as well that I think was fairly unexpected. Certainly this early on, that we'd get a kind of another take at Alfrid. So it's really cool to have a new pass at the Alfrid model to lead the kind of survivors of Lake Town. So you've got maybe the old one to lead your army of Lake Town Guard, and then you've got the new one if you're doing a kind of survivors of Lake Town army, which I think is incredibly cool. So there we go. There is the new Alfrid Lickspittle model from Forge World. He's an event and Warhammer World exclusive, so any Games Workshop events and Warhammer World, you can go get your hands on that. He's £12, which is perfectly reasonable. He's a lovely, lovely sculpt, great fun to paint, and he has a cool new balanced profile in the new version, courtesy of the Middle Earth team. So I would highly recommend you get your hands on one. I noticed people in our wonderful community have already been doing have already been doing the very noble thing of sending them out. I know Owen Wright went to Warhammer World and bought about 12. He's basically just shipping them to anyone who wants one, which is lovely of him. So it is a good thing that we have these new models. It is not a bad thing that they are event only, and if you're really that desperate for it, someone over here will send you one. So just celebrate the fact that our game is alive and well, when as recently as 13 months ago we thought it was dead in the water. It's awesome, awesome news. So there you go, there's an unboxing with a twist. I hope you've enjoyed this slight kind of twist on the format to get the models painted up as we're doing it. I wouldn't expect many more of these, to be honest, because it requires me to be able to paint the models in a short space of time, which, as anyone knows me, knows that will not happen very often. Yeah, it was a fun thing to do as a one-off, and I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit host by clicking in the links below. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.